and I specialize in helping accountants, business advisors, and consultants to get back their time whilst increasing their revenue. And today I want to talk to you about something called leveraged advisory. And it's a pretty cool thing that a few accounting firms and consultants out there have implemented over the past, 10, 20 years and had great freaking results with it. All right, so let's just have a look and see what I mean by leveraged advisory. So there's two kinds of practices that you can run. You can run what we call a monster practice, and a monster practice has a really nice high turnover. And maybe the kind of practice that I'm talking to you about doesn't have such a high turnover. Maybe it only has like a 1 million turnover compared to a 3 million turnover. But the monster practice has some things that you don't necessarily want. So a monster practice has a lot of team members. It has 40 staff. Whereas the freedom practice has a 1 million turnover, but has the practice over in a small team. Now, this really affects the kind of income that you have. So you have hundreds of clients with a 3 million turnover and 40 staff, because the 40 staff have hundreds of clients to look after. A practice owner with a small team actually only has about 32 clients. You can make $1 million with 32 clients and have yourself deliver that services with a small team. When we look at the hundreds of clients and the 40 staff, that's 78,000 hours for delivery. It's exhausting that you have to have every single year. Whereas on the right hand side with the freedom practice, it's 480 hours of delivery every single year. Now that might seem a little bit like, whoa, that's madness. But actually, when we look at the income for those different ways of running a practice, you've got $39 an hour on the left hand side, and that's the monster practice, and $2,000 an hour or £2,000 an hour when you have a freedom practice. Okay, so a 3 million turnover, 40 staff, hundreds of clients business tends to be compliance based, whereas the 1 million turnover, practice owner and small team and 32 clients tends to be what we call leveraged advisory based. So not even just advisory, it's that leveraged advisory. Now, I ran a talk, I suppose, with Carl Reeder from Practice Ignition yesterday, and we went through how to actually introduce leveraged advisory into your firm. Now, if you would like a copy of that talk, it was set up as a webinar, but we actually ended up having a conversation. We didn't have hundreds of slides. It was more about how Carl, in his multi-million pound accountancy practice, how he introduced leveraged advisory many years ago, before it was something that I coined the term of and implement now with my clients. Let me just share with you a quick overview, because if you're interested in this, then I would suggest that you jump in and watch the recording. Comment scale below. Comment scale if you would like a copy of the recording of a pretty awesome conversation that I had with Carl. But when I talk about creating a freedom practice, we're talking about a practice where you really don't have so many hours of delivery. And if we have a look here, what is the model for creating a freedom practice? Well, traditionally, we have generalist compliance work, which is the opposite of freedom, because you need hundreds and hundreds of clients to have a successful practice. We don't want that, okay? So as I've said, if you'd like a recording of the conversation I had with Carl, then comment scale below. A few of you are already doing that. So generalist is where you start. That's where so many of you create that monster practice. Then we have a niche compliance. So you're niching down with your ideal client, but you're still offering compliance work. Then we start to have one-to-one niche advisory or general advisory. This is where so many of you go, and you think that it's the answer to having a higher revenue and fewer clients, but actually you're still capped. You're still stuck with the number of clients you can have, because it tends to be down to you to deliver that work one-on-one. And that in itself isn't scalable. Okay, so I just want to share with you that if you are offering general compliance or niche compliance, your profit is limited because you can't charge huge amounts of money, because the value, whilst it's there, is the same value that every other accountant is offering. If you offer general niche advisory, you're still capped on your time, so you might make more money, but you are overworked. You might not be underpaid like you are when you're just offering compliance, but you are overworked. So there is a solution. Comment scale below if you would like to find out more about this, okay, because I can then get you a copy of the conversation I had with Carl Reeder, who has implemented this hugely successfully in his multi-million-pound accountancy firm, okay. But the way to have the leveraged advisory is you can introduce something that we call office hours or an FAQ library, and we cover this in the recording that you can have a copy of. We talk about running masterminds, so you can run masterminds, and we also talk about online group consulting and how you could deliver that. So if you'd like a copy of the conversation, comment scale below, as I've said. What happens when you introduce leveraged advisory is your profits go up and your time in delivery goes dramatically down. And leveraged advisory is the holy grail for an accounting or advisory consulting firm. It's the holy grail to give the practice owner freedom. Okay, so if you are wanting to reduce the number of hours and days that you work on a weekly basis, if you're wanting to change the way that your life is going, if you want to spend more time with your family, then the key isn't just about pricing compliance. The key isn't just about introducing advisory. The key is, in fact, changing your business model completely and genning up on how to do leveraged advisory. So two things. One, if you'd like to watch a copy of the recording that I did with Carl Reeder explaining this in more depth that we did yesterday. We had a webinar yesterday. It's a conversation between me and him. If you'd like to watch that to find out more, then comment scale. And if you would like to find out more as well, if you comment the word book, I actually have a book called Practice Growth Superpowers that goes into leveraged advisory in quite a bit of depth. So comment book as well. So you can have both. You can watch the webinar and you can also have a copy of the book sent through to you. So comment scale and book if you want both, or scale or book. Okay, it's super cool. I absolutely love leveraged advisory. I've got clients that are introducing it and have introduced it and are reducing the hours that they're working. They're reducing their team because they don't need such a big team. They're increasing their profits. They're getting their life back. Dare I say, they have freedom. All right, I'll catch up with you soon. Comment scale below if you'd like a copy of the recording, and let's get your profession introducing leveraged advisory. It's super cool. It's super exciting, and I can't wait to share it with you. I'll catch up with you all soon. See you later.